What are the best ways to make sure your product is clean and includes only the right features? What is your process for simplifying a product? So this is a great question. I actually spend, and this is where we have some of our most heated debates. I will fight tooth and nail with any person on the team who wants to add something to our UI. You've got to have a great reason, and we actually spend a lot of our time taking things out of our UI. One simple way of doing this that's very kind of pragmatic is to A/B test. So use a tool like Optimizely. If you have an idea for something, whether it's a feature or a button, or do we put this this call to action here versus here or in the header, A/B test it. Use a tool like Optimizely, use any of the other tools out there, and do an A/B test where you actually split your user base and half of them see one version, half see the other, or half see the product with that UI element or that feature, half see it without, and then really track your metrics and see whether it actually makes a difference. So I think that's a very scientific way to keep your product clean. And we do that before we add anything. At this point, it's just part of how we operate, and it's ingrained in our culture. And it took us time to make people think that way. But I think you've got to build your culture around that. I'm also a big fan of BJ Fogg. So if anybody hasn't read BJ Fogg's work, he's from the Stanford D School. He's persuasive technology, and his behavioral model is fairly famous at this point. The concept of him, they call it M plus A plus T. So motivation plus ability plus trigger. So first, the M, understanding the motivation of your user, not your motivation, the motivation of your user, because those are very different things. Ability was very simple. We're on the web. Ability means a link or a button. And then trigger. So what's the trigger? What's the call to action? What's that thing you want to place right at the right spot in the user experience where the motivation is the highest of your user to do something. So he has a famous saying about placing very hot triggers in the path of highly motivated users. And that's the best way to do user experience. I definitely recommend reading BJ Fogg's work. It can be a little academic, but I think if you can learn how to apply it, it'll go a long way.